Steady, steady, go. So, we are discussing the meditation on the breath. In the morning and in the afternoons we are discussing the non-dualistic approach to practice, to study and meditation in general. Both are related. The peculiarity of the text from which our excerpt has been taken is, and that has been paid little attention to, is actually trying to reconcile the so-called the Shravaka tradition aiming at the attainment of arahathood with the bodhisattva-based tradition aiming at the attainment of the supreme enlightenment. And he is doing that very skillfully on the base of analyzing the mind. The mind is the only thing we experience in this world. And we can understand it either analytically, and we cannot understand enlightenment analytically, we have to understand it non-analytically. And this analytical and non-analytical, they have to be joined together in order that we understand what is actually Buddhism about. There is no cause which can be divided from the effect, and there is no effect which can be divided from the cause. This is the essence for understanding of Buddhism. Idam sati, idam bhavati. If something is there, then something has to become. There is no question that something is there and something does not become. But we have seen the shunyata, the nirvana. It is there, but it does not become. And in order to see that it is there, we need the faith. If we don't have the faith, we will never come to practice. And it is always there, but it is there together with that which arises due to causes and conditions, and ceases due to causes and conditions. According to Theravada understanding, Buddhaghosa explained that what ceases, that what arises due to causes and conditions, that also ceases due to causes and conditions. In the Northern Buddhism, in Abhidharmakosha, you will find a different explanation, and that is very important for our understanding of Buddhism. Everything arises due to causes and conditions, but ceases naturally. Ceases naturally.
What is the difference, Antaji? What is the difference between, like when we say this, between the southern and northern, what is actually the difference?
Well, you think. If you don't think, you will not understand. Don't just rely on me. Cessation is a natural thing. The arising. Now, unless you understand that, you will not understand what we are learning in the afternoon. Cessation is a natural thing. A natural thing exists. That which arises is an illusion. unless you understand that, you will not penetrate the deep meaning of Buddha's teaching. So, in the northern tradition, in the Agamas, you will also find the Sunyata Parama Dharma Sutra. The Sunyata is the highest reality. This is not any Mahayanistic idea. It comes even in the Agamas, and the same idea comes in the Artavagya Suttas of the Sutta Nipata, Attavagya Sutta. It is there. The world, the 5 aggregates are empty. So now we are learning how to understand Buddhism. In order to understand Buddhism, we need a method. Now our method is meditation on the breath. Meditation on the breath is the best method for understanding Buddhism, for a simple reason: the breath is always with us. Breath nourishes our body every moment as regard to the gross nutrition. The breath, that's why our translator, Alan Wallace, translates it as vital energy. Because the breath is prana, and without the prana the mind cannot move. And this is what is the root of all the mysteries, all the mysticism. Actually, the world and the mind, they cannot be strictly separated. This is done by philosophers, but it has never been done by mystics. Now, in order to understand the Buddha's teaching with a correct method, we have to understand, we have to be familiar with 5 things. Our author calls them parichaya, and it is translated here as practice or something like that. 5 practices. The parichaya actually means familiarity. You want to get bodhi, you have to be familiar with 5 things if you want to get it with the help of the breath. And here this part is taken from the Shravaka Bhumi, which explains how to become an arahat on the base of meditating on the breath. In the Bodhisattva Bhumi, Asanga explains, in order to become a bodhisattva, you still have to add to this knowledge some other elements. And that is precisely the non-dualistic understanding of the mind. The dualism comes from the mind itself. It has not been created by any other thing than the mind itself. This is actually the essence of Buddha's teachings. We don't need any creator. The mind creates everything. Mano Pubangama Dhamma, Mano Seta, Mano Maya. All the phenomena are contained in the mind, are led by the mind. So when you understand the mind, you understand everything. The Yogacara does not say anything new, Madhyamika does not say anything new. They make simply another, which they believe to be a deeper interpretation, easier interpretation. Both Nagarjuna and Asanga are convinced if we use their interpretation correctly, our process of understanding Buddhism will be much faster. We can avoid many, many difficulties, which come from understanding the emptiness of the self separately from emptiness of all the phenomena. So to bring Buddhism to logical conclusion, you have to meditate on the emptiness of all the phenomena, not only on the emptiness of the five aggregates. The five aggregates, of course, they are all the phenomena. But the emphasis should be on all the phenomena, because the self is included in it. When the self is empty, all the phenomena are empty. When the self is not empty, then all the phenomena are not empty. When all the phenomena are not empty, they cannot change. And all we can experience is a change. So now we have covered the first parichaya, which is counting. In the meditation on the breath, the counting explains the satova asasati, satova pasasati. I breathe in with mindfulness, I breathe out with mindfulness. Actually, in breathing in and breathing out with mindfulness, all the other steps can be contained. When you breathe in and breathe out with mindfulness, you can succeed in shamatha, you can succeed in vipassana. So it is not that first you learn counting and then you learn following and then you learn placing, then you learn vipassana. Everything is happening if you are mindful. For that, we are studying this text in the afternoon. Everything is happening in one moment. When the mind does not move, it is shamatha. When the mind moves, it is vipassana. When the mind moves, you are witnessing impermanence. When the mind does not move, you are witnessing, if you understand, you are witnessing the suchness. The impermanence appears in suchness. It cannot appear separate from suchness. That is why you are learning this text in the afternoon, to see it very clearly. Now you are using the meditation on the breath to understand that impermanence appears in suchness. In order to understand it, you have to have these 5 acquaintances. Acquaintance with counting, which means acquaintance with the sati. Sati has to become a sati bala. If a sati is practiced forcefully, you cannot succeed in meditation. The sati has to be natural. If sati is natural and you want to force it, then you have a forceful attention. Bala avahana. Avahana literally means a transport. In Hindi even you use it for transport. In order to witness something, to experience something, you have to transport your mind to the object. If you don't do it, you cannot distinguish the object clearly. You have to transport it to the object. How you transport it to the object will decide how you experience it. Now, if you transport your mind to the object forcefully, you cannot experience the object in state of peace. Impossible. You can only do what is possible, you cannot do what is impossible. But we beings, we are very irrational. We always want to do the impossible. So you want to meditate on the breath and you want to catch the breath, hold the breath, bring the mind to the breath forcefully, but it will not work. It will never work. So now you are learning in the afternoon. The ignorance is the eyes opener. If you don't experience ignorance, you will never experience wisdom. Ignorance does not exist separate from wisdom. Wisdom does not exist separate from ignorance. What we experience when we meditate is necessarily ignorance and wisdom. What Buddha experiences precisely is also he can reflect the ignorance of other beings, that's why he can help them. Because he sees just like a mirror, not adding anything, as we have learned in Heart Sutra, not taking away anything. Now we are always trying to add something to the facts, take away something to the fact. So we are in trouble. Trouble in the bubble. This bubble are the five aggregates. And we are in this bubble. So you have to use mindfulness to understand the bubble. So you have to have familiarity with the five aggregates. Now, how is it explained? We are at this preliminary part explaining the condition for understanding meditation on the breath. The first preliminary familiarity is with mindfulness. You have to experience by yourself when you bring mind to the breath forcefully, you will never find any satisfaction in observing breath. Only when you observe it with mindfulness, mindfulness makes everything smooth. So that is why the Chinese texts always explain, before you meditate on breath, make sure you understand what breath is conducive to concentration, what breath is not conducive to concentration. The breath conducive to concentration makes no sound, it is very smooth. It has a continuity, not a zigzag, zigzag. Because you let it flow naturally. You don't try to force it. Who is there to forcing the breath? If you understand that, then you can force it. Pranayama, as practice in the yoga tradition, can be very useful. But you have to understand that all this is just a manipulation to come to the natural state. To the natural state, you can come without manipulation, you can also come with manipulation. Finally, the pranayama also, the aim is the natural breathing. This is misunderstanding on this side of Buddhism, that pranayama cannot lead to natural breathing. It can. It is only a preliminary exercise. So, in our case, we try to understand the breath by the mindfulness. Mindfulness brings awareness, and when we don't have mindfulness, the breath will not bring peace to the mind. Mindfulness is a key to shamatha and vipassana. You don't have mindfulness, you want shamatha and vipassana, is like wanting to reach the moon with a hand. No, it's impossible. And mindfulness brings understanding. So the next stop, important understanding is the 5 aggregates. What explain the 5 aggregates? No Atma. How can there be Atma when everything we experience is the 5 aggregates? Experience directly. Don't be relying on some anumana, on some inference. Experience directly, that's what Buddha did. Experience directly, if you will find some lasting core in your experience of the body and the mind, which is bound to the body. In the other Indian traditions, of course, they understood very, very clearly nama rupa is impermanent. This mind linked to the body is impermanent. They are not stupid. They understood very, very well. But they jumped to the conclusion there is Atma. The Buddha, don't jump to any conclusion, see by yourself. The Dhamma is ehipasiko. Come and see. Do you see any Atman? Where can you find Atman? In the form. Everything that the form, everything that has akara is actually vikara. Everything that has form is a process of change. Now the science comes to the same conclusion. Mahatma Gandhi has said that even in the deepest depths of the ocean, you will find 1 millimeter of peace. Impossible. In the form, you cannot find the peace. You have to understand that the form is mind. If you separate the form from the mind, the form cannot move by itself. It only moves by the causes and conditions. So the form not moving is only our impression. It is not a fact. And if you meditate, this fact will change. When you meditate on the 4 elements, you will see they will disintegrate. They will disintegrate that which they contain, that is a form. Feeling also always changing. Are you self when you are happy, or are you self when you are unhappy? Are you self when you are depressed? Are you self when you are in exalting mood? You cannot find anything lasting. The same for perception, always changing. Then the will and will formations, all the mental factors which bring you to the object. Starting with attention, they all are changing. And the mind which differentiates is also always changing. The breath, therefore the text explained, is based on the mind and the body. Which mind? Mind bound to the body. That mind bound to the body, you will not find anything lasting in it. Therefore, Visuddhimagga, Buddhaghosa explained, the body is a hospital. The sensation is a disease. Perception is the cause of the disease. The will and will factors, they are the unsuitable treatment. And the mind is a sick man. So where to flee? First, we have to understand our experience, then we can understand what is beyond the experience. And our experience is in the hospital, and the sick man is hanging to this hospital like a tick is hanging to in my place. Many ticks, many deer. So one has to be very, very careful. Ticks cause many diseases because they grasp and grasp and grasp. You have to use the very skillful means. Now they are using all kinds of scientific method for getting them out. But you can use a simple method, the soap, or the pincers, you call it? Tweezers. Pincers is French, no? You cannot say in English pincers.
You can, but it has a different meaning.
The crab has pincers.
Okay. So let us see what the author has to say about the understanding the 5 aggregates based on observation of the breath. Now we are working with the breath. So we have to understand the 5 aggregates, the non-self, 5 aggregates explain the non-self. That is page 7. Huh? What is the conclusion of the non-dualistic approach? Five aggregates explain the non-self. The real non-self is suchness. And suchness includes everything. Sabbe sankhara anicca. All the formations are impermanent, but not sabbe dhamma anicca, sabbe dhamma anatta. You can never say sabbe sankhara anatta, sabbe dhamma anatta, because the real dhamma is nirvana. So by devoting oneself to that practice, cultivating it time and again, continuity, physical pliancy and mental pliancy arise. That means method of counting. When you do the counting with mindfulness, or when the mindfulness is established, there will be the feeling of pliancy. Pliancy means lightness and relaxation, clarity. And the pliancy is the two in a Theravada tradition. We distinguish the pliancy of the body and pliancy of the mind. Two different mental factors. Two different mental factors. This shows how the pliancy of the body and the pliancy of the mind are interrelated. And the pliancy comes from the using the mind in the proper way. And what is a proper way? Mindfulness and awareness. That is a proper way. Using the mind in the proper way, the pliancy will be of the mind and also of the body. Then, without this pliancy, this is especially important for understanding the non-dualistic philosophy. In order to put shamatha and vipassana together as one process, you need the pliancy. If you don't have pliancy, you cannot understand that impermanence, and that impermanence is arising through the mind process.
Through the what?
Mind process. In order that the mind moves, it needs attention. When there is attention, the mind will receive the object, it will investigate the object, it will decide about the object. And accordingly we experience the object. This is same in Yogacara tradition, same in Theravada tradition. So you need avarjana. Avarjana. If you don't have avarjana, if you don't have relating to the object, the mind will not arise. What mind? The impermanent mind. So, when you have pliancy, you can have attained the one-pointedness of the mind. When you have the mind-pointedness of the mind, you can practice vipassana. And this one-pointedness of the mind happens because the mind has wisdom. Mind has wisdom because it has one-pointedness of the mind. But in dhyana, this one-pointedness of the mind melts with the object. In the Mahayana meditation, it does not melt with the object. In Zen. Then your problem turns to the subjective factor, to the avarjana. Avarjana is the subjective side of the mind. It is not like explained in Theravada, the object is there before Pubejata Pachaya. Before the mind arises, the object is there. This the other schools cannot accept. So, you have one-pointedness of the mind, then you, one who has thoroughly trained the body, like that engages with the aggregates by attending to objective and subjective phenomena. Very wonderful. Let us see the Chinese. Yes, subjective and objective phenomena means grahaka and grahya. That means the subject of one who is grasping and what is grasped. Sanskrit has a very wonderful names for that. Grahaka is a mind, is a nama. Nama means that which bends to the object. And grahya is that to which the mind bends, literally. These Indian yogis, they have used such a subtle language, which that makes it very difficult and accessible to common people, because these are not the normal words the common man will use. Transporting the mind to the object, the seizure of the object and what is seized, and so on. These are not the common words, but they are very important to understand. That's why learning the languages is very useful. No other civilization has produced such a subtle language for understanding the mind. Nowhere. Then, if you have this understanding of Grahya and Grahaka being the 5 aggregates, then you can engage in concentrated attention towards this phenomena of the 5 aggregates. And how you do it. One who does so on the feelings that are conjoined with the mindfulness that apprehends inhalation and exhalation, engages with the aggregates of, first aggregate of one who focuses the attention upon the body, which is the basis of inhalation and exhalation, engages with the aggregates of form. That is the Grahya. The Grahya is a form, that which is to be grasped, or that which can be grasped. Grahya, wonderful word, means that which can be grasped. That which is grahaka, which is grasping, cannot be grasped. That which is the object, that can be grasped. That which is the subject cannot be grasped.
But even the subject could become an object.
Of course, it can become an object, but it cannot be grasped because it is always changing.
But even the object cannot be grasped because it's always changing.
But in the beginning you grasp it.
In the beginning,
only when you have disintegrated into kalapas and so on, then you can grasp. But in the beginning you grasp it very clearly.
But in the beginning we also grasp the mind.
No, you cannot grasp the mind.
But I know we can't, but don't we?
Only by making it the object.
Right.
That is a past mind. That is not the present mind. That is a past mind, which already has an object. You can only grasp the past mind, you cannot grasp the present mind. Like the finger cannot point itself, the knife cannot cut itself. What you grasp is a past mind.
But even the forms we grasp are the past form. It's not the present.
Not of course, in some there are different ways of seeing. Let's not discuss philosophy. Otherwise, we will never end. Later, you can study and get more knowledge. Better is just listen, and if there is some not clarity, okay, but not philosophical discussion. So this important is this breath, in breath and out breath, and in between breath represent the form. Because you meditate on the breath, so for you the breath represents the form. If you meditate on kasina, The kasina represents the form. If you meditate on Buddha, the Buddha will represent the form. But if you meditate on the Dharmakaya, there is no form. So you cannot, the Diamond Sutra and many other Mahayana sutras say, you cannot grasp the Buddha by characteristics. It is not possible. The real Buddha has no characteristic. So that which receives the object, what means Vedana? Vedana means the reception of the object. That what receives the object, which experiences the object, Vedana means Anubhava. That is called Vedana. And Vedana comes from the root vid, which means to know. The science, Veda. We know through the receiving the object. If we don't receive the object, what do we know? A good question. Please think about it. If you don't receive any object, what do you know? So we have to learn how to receive the object and how to not receive the object. That is science. If you only know how to receive the object, you don't have the Buddhist science. If you only know how not to receive the object, you also don't have the Buddhist science. If you know how to receive the object and not to receive the object, you have the Buddhist science. Very wonderful, this science. So, what is the condition of the Arahat? He does not receive. Asanga explains very clearly in Yogacara Bhumishastra. Buddhaghosa also explains. He is beyond the sensation, yet he has sensation. He is beyond the form, yet he has a form. You want to become a Buddha? This is the way. Receive the form, be beyond the form. Receive the sensation, be beyond the sensation. Receive the perception, be beyond perception. Receive the will, be beyond the will. Receive the mind, be beyond the mind. And this you have to experience on the base of observing the breath. The breath comes and goes naturally. It comes and goes naturally. Also, the form comes and goes naturally. The sensation comes and goes naturally. Perception comes and goes naturally. The will formation comes and goes naturally. The differentiation comes and goes naturally. Who is unnatural? Something you want to impose on it. Right? This is what you should experience in meditation on the breath. Then it will take you into the depths. The one who does so through understanding engages with the aggregate of recognition. One who does so on mindfulness, volition and wisdom, these are the mental factors, many other mental factors of course, engages with the aggregates of mental formations. One who does so on the mind, mental engagement and consciousness engages with the aggregates of consciousness. So, what does it mean? All that we experience on the base of the mental process. In order that the mental process takes form, they have to be these 5 aggregates. If they are not there, the mind will not engage in anything. Whenever you engage in something, there has to be 5 aggregates. When you don't engage in anything, what is there? That is a question. So these 5 aggregates, they explain the process of change, anicca. Sabbe sankhara, these 5 aggregates, they are sankhara, samskara. Very clear in Sanskrit. They are fabricated, put together. They are fabricated. What is fabricated is what? Abhuta parikalpa. Asanga says, Abhuta parikalpo asti, dvayam tatra na vidyate, shunyata vidyate tatra, tasyam apisa vidyate. This duality, fanciful duality, exists. But it is a parikalpa, it is created, fabricated. It exists, but it exists in emptiness. These 5 aggregates exist for sure, but they exist in emptiness. If they don't exist in emptiness, they cannot arise. Nothing can arise except in emptiness. If something arises not in emptiness, it is what? Abhuta parikalpa. It is a dualistic fabrication. This dualistic fabrication exists. Nobody denies that it is not there, but not as we understand it. As something which is, the form never arises separate from the touch never arises separate from the sensation, perception, will and will formations, and the distinguishing consciousness. They are not two, they arise together. Arising together in this philosophy is not arising, not really arising. That which arises together is not really arisen. Why not really arisen? Because we see it separately. Abhuta parikalpo asti dvayam tatra na vidyate shunyata vidyate tatra tasyam api savidyate. This duality exists, but not as it appears to us. It exists in emptiness. What means emptiness? You cannot hold. If you hold, it is not emptiness. So the subject, real subject and real object appear because you hold to them. If you don't hold to them, their appearance is not real. Whatever you hold to, its appearance is not real. So the arising independent origination is not a real arising. It's not something you can grasp. When you grasp it, you don't understand. How it arises, independent origination. Okay, so after understanding the five aggregates, the next thing that comes is dependent origination. Everything that arises cannot arise by itself. Everything that arises are the five aggregates. If you see something except the five aggregates, what do you see? The hair on the turtle, the Lata chakra, and so so on, many examples. Huh? The hair in your eye. Huh?
Sky flower.
Wonderful. Many examples. Huh? They are very generous in examples of this arising, except the five aggregates. Huh? Very generous. Nagarjuna in this sense. So nothing can arise independently. Huh? To arise independence means not really arising. Huh? So, having understood the five aggregates, you have to understand dependent origination. Everything that arises in dependent origination does not really arise. Hmm? In other words, nothing can arise independent from the whole. Huh? So that's why you need, in order to understand meditation, in order to understand Buddhism, you have to understand dependent origination. Huh? So when one sees and thoroughly understands the mere aggregates, huh? These are the five aggregates. There are five, but there is no reason to make them six or make them. Why not add some other aggregate? Huh? But it is a best classification, but it is only classification. Hmm? So one who sees and thoroughly understands the mere aggregates, mere formations and mere phenomena, the aggregates, they are formed, of course, and whatever we can experience through our differentiating mind is necessarily formed samskrita. Samskrita means put together. Put together by whom? By the differentiating mind. But in order to have a differentiating mind, you have to grasp something. If you don't grasp something, where is the mind? Very difficult to see. The mental process we can only understand when we grasp something. When we don't grasp something, where is the mental process? So this mental process must appear in emptiness, no? That's why mere aggregates. By investigating the aggregates, you understand mere aggregates. Mere aggregates means there is no self. These aggregates, they are mere formations, the mere phenomena. When one understands that, then one will understand what the Buddha has seen under the Bodhi tree. We can see it ourselves This is what is meditation about. That everything we can get hold of is the dependent origination. And in dependent origination you don't find any self. Because self is necessarily something which is independent. That is the Indian tradition. So now you are using breath to understand the dependent origination. And it is a very suitable object because the breath, as explained before, is depending on the nama rupa. Nama rupa is everything. Nama is literally that which bends, and rupa is that which breaks. Rupati iti rupam. That which breaks is a rupa, and that nama, namati iti nama, that which bends towards this process of breaking, that is nama. Namati means to bend in Sanskrit. So what the mind does is bending to the process of change. And where is a mind that does not bend anywhere? That is a big question. So this very subtle language, nama depends on rupa, rupa depends on nama. Rupa is that which breaks, nama which bends to this process of breaking. Namati namati iti nama. Rupati rupati iti rupa. So, engages with dependent origination of composites. That which is bending and that which is being broken, it's only Samskrita composed. Now you want to find the God, you want to find the highest reality, you want to find the ultimate reality. You have to understand the composites. Don't start with that which is composed, which is not composed, sorry. Start with that which is composed, which you can experience yourself. Then don't say it is this, don't say it is that. Experience by yourself. That is Buddhism. Don't believe what the tradition says. Don't believe what the books say. Don't believe what the ancients say. This is a revolution of Buddhism. See by yourself. Ehipasiko. Come and see. So, one seeks and inquires as to the basis of the cooperative conditions for the inhalation and exhalation. Cooperative conditions must mean the pratyayas, no? I will see I don't have the Chinese text here, it is available. There must be pratyaya anyway. Huh? So everything that appears must appear due to cooperative conditions, due to the pratyayas. Huh? That is why we have pratitya samutpada. Huh? Everything has to come together. Huh? Causes and conditions. If there are no causes and conditions, nothing can appear. Hmm? This is the revolution of the Buddha. Huh?
In Sanskrit, we have Kim Pratyayastya Astyainam Bhavati.
It is pratyaya, yes. Wonderful, you have the Sanskrit, huh? Maybe we can print it, huh? If that is possible. That is more objective than the Chinese, of course. So everything that appears has to appear on the causes and conditions. Huh? What does not appear due to causes and conditions, we cannot know. We can only guess. Or we can experience. But Buddhism is a science of experience. Ehipassiko, come and see by yourself. So, whatever appears by causes and conditions appears in relation to the mind and the body. We don't have anything else than the mind and the body. In this mind and the body, we have to find the truth. We don't have anything else. What to do? Moreover, what are the body and the mind conditions? So the breath depends on the mind and the body. Now you have to investigate where does this mind and the body comes from. In other words, what are the causes and conditions of the mind and the body? And a very simple conclusion. The one realizes that these causes and conditions for the body and the mind is the life faculty. We are here because we have the life faculty. Life faculty is what? Prana.
Venerable, but just one thing here, it doesn't say one realizes the causes and cooperative conditions. It's just saying the cooperative conditions.
Yeah, it is the same.
It's the same.
You have a hetu pratyaya also.
Okay.
You have the hetu pratyaya among the 4 pratyayas. So the more precise is causes and conditions. The hetu is the main cause and the pratyayas are the secondary. There is never appears anything without the main cause and the secondary conditions. So it's okay. like the main cause of the consciousness is the mind and the body, but the mind and the body contains many secondary conditions, right? So this life faculty is that which keeps the body and the mind together. The Buddha, before going to Kusinagara, in Vaisali, I think, he rejected this life faculty, but he still could keep for 3 months going. Why? Because his life faculty is related to the will. When you become a great meditator, you can reject the life faculty at the will, but then you still can keep it like the Buddha for another time, to look for the most auspicious time to go. And that he decided is Kusinagara, because the previous Buddhas also, so the Nibbana Sutta says, they have also breathed the last breath in that place. So he remembered and went to Kusinagara. So he needs another 3 months to give up completely. But he is keeping by this will, keeps the mind and body together. If you are a master of the yoga, you can decide the time of your death by rejecting it. There is a story in the Visuddhimagga. Very nice story. One Arahat asks in the Sangha, have you seen friends, avuso, have you seen someone dying in the sitting posture? Yes, there were many cases. Have you seen someone dying while standing? Yes, we have seen. Have you seen someone dying while walking? Oh, that we have not seen. Make a line there. They made a line, so he said goodbye to the Sangha, his things he has distributed, and he said, okay, friends, I am going, and when he reached that line, he released his mind, and that on that place, he stopped that. So this is the mastery of the mind. Mastery of the mind is related to the mastery of the life faculty. The great yogis, they decide when to go. And when they decide when to go, so they do whatever is necessary before, arrange everything and go. Buddha did the same also. He was sure that after his death, everything will go. What he had to teach, he has taught. Sangha was there. They were responsible monks to take care. So off he goes. why to keep this rack with dragging it along? So this is a mastery of the mind, mastery of the life faculty. Nowadays people will not believe it, but nevertheless it was a thing which is quite possible, was quite not unusual in the olden times, in Sri Lanka, in Thailand, in Burma. There are cases like that.
While our life faculty is still strong, I'm just noticing the time is now 10:20. I'm wondering if we want to plan to have time for a sit and a walk this morning also.
Okay, so let us continue tomorrow, huh? Okay. What we learn. What we don't learn, you can study by yourself, and hope I have give you some push to develop more and more interest in meditation and in the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha's teaching is not dogmatic,